Whereas the Accomack County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to the affirmative record code and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas section 2.1-3771D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Accomack County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully accepted for open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. May I have roll call?
Mrs. Bardell,
Present.
Mr. Taylor,
Present.
Dr. Johnson, Mr. Neal,
Here.
Mr. Handy, Mr. Whipple,
Here.
Ms. Thomas,
Here.
Mrs. Bowman. Here. Ms. White,
Present.
Ms. Taylor, Dr. Jack,
Here.
Ms. Smith.
We'll now stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4.01, approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for the 12/03/2024 meeting.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion on the GED list?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the GED list as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion for discipline cases?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the readmission cases for 12/17/24/01, 02, 03, and 04.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve as recommended for cases 12/17/24/05, and 06 as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion for the personnel list?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the personnel list as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The personnel list is approved. Is there a motion for the vouchers?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the vouchers as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, the financial report. And I'd like to welcome our board supervisor, Ms. Johnson. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Good evening. I have updated the federal programs report with the new grants that we have received and been approved for, and I've taken the old ones off. So the front page looks a little different. Just to show you where we are, it's very early in the game, but it shows you the spend down dates on page one. And I have kept on the ESSERs on the second page, but I'll probably be removing them except for that ESSER 2 allocation because I've been carrying them on there for some time and they're closed, they're finished. So are there any questions?
Thank you. Do you want to talk about the operating budget? Sure.
So I started this presentation with kind of an explanation of some of the acronyms that we use, so that maybe we'll understand the importance of that. We have an acronym ADM, Average Daily Membership. It is different than enrollment. Enrollment is if you enroll and then you leave to go to another district or whatever, you're still in enrollment. But the average daily membership is actually calculated as the number of days that students in grades K through 12 are in attendance at school, and is divided by the number of days that school is held. So this figure is used to distribute state revenues, which are based on a per pupil amount. So that's why this is so important to us in our budget, is because it is a determining factor in a number of our revenues. And what they give us our revenues is our March 31st ADM count. So whatever the March 31st ADM count is, that's when they do, oh, we were giving them more than that, oh, we were giving them less than that, and they make it balanced by June 30th. So I've done a little history of where our ADM was starting in 2015 to date, and you see the big drop when COVID hit. And we are stable at this point, but we've not gotten to our pre-COVID ADM. So every year when we receive calc tools from the state, and what you do is they project an ADM that they think you're going to have, which we take that into account. We look at that, but we also use our own data. So this is just some of the data that we look at when we're trying to determine what ADM to use, because all of our revenues that are per pupil based will be based on the ADM that we ask to use. So the state continues to use their projected ADM, but this budget is built on what we project the ADM to be. And historically, our projections have been more accurate than the state's, but for the past couple of years, I've actually used the state's. So I am recommending to use the state's of 4581.25. And I did want to say that that's 25.4 enrollment kids over what we're using in this current year. So that is the number that I'm using when I'm doing these revenue projections. Another big determinant, right, move the slide. Another big determining factor is LCI, Local Composite Index. Sometimes it's also called CI. And the state comes up with a formula. And what this basically is a formula that determines the locality's ability to pay. So the lower the LCI, the bigger the share the state pays. So if our LCI, you see that that's pretty stable. If our LCI was 33%, let's just say, because it's close, it's 0.3487. If it was 33%, that means that by using this LCI, the state determines that they pay 2/3, we pay 1/3 of the cost. So when I'm referring to it, I usually just say 2/3, 1/3, but you see our LCI is actually 0.3487. That is calculated every biennium. So we have the same LCI this coming budget year that we're working on as we had the last budget year, because they only change it every biennium. So then the next slide, I have shown you which state revenues are affected by ADM and LCI. So you can see how these two numbers play a big role in how much money we get from the state. So where we stand now, we have not received Governor Youngkin's proposed budget. He will put out, as the last bullet says, a caboose bill. It will be released this month. Usually anywhere between, it's close, it may be this week. The latest I think we've ever gotten it is December 20th. But what we do know is that where this is the second year of the biennium, that is what the General Assembly passed last spring, is what is in effect moving into it, and his caboose bill will suggest changes to what we already have established before us. So being the second half of the biennium could be more consistent, but not always. And I wanted to let you know that the Accomack Northampton distribution of 1.4 million is in the second half of the biennium budget, so at this point it's in, unless somebody takes it out. And the second half includes state funding for 3% compensation supplement effective July 1st. The projected revenues for FY '25 are $1 million over what they are in this current year that we're in now. But remember, we also added 25 ADM, so that increases it. And then I just showed you a budget timeline, which our budget timelines are short because the Board of Supervisors asked us to present by their Wednesday regular meeting. So that is where I start, and then I back up. And it's really short because I don't even have revenues to go on at this point, just, until we get some sort of released revenues. So that is the projected timeline. And then the other thing that I included in there was the capital improvement program. We must do this for the county every year. Mr. Bennett and I do this every year. And they use it to distribute prior year's fund balance for their own capital projects. We don't receive any of that money at this point, nor have we for years, but they still ask for it, so I just wanted you all to have a copy of it too. And I did want so we have a refresh schedule for painting or boilers and that type of thing, as you can see, intercom bell clock systems. But one of the things I did want to point out is that we added to this document a storage operations building with the renovation of Accomack Primary. We are busting at the seams, and we really will need to consider in the very near future a place for surplus IT equipment, custodial supplies, HVAC filters, that type of thing, food, dry goods, and paper goods. So that is kind of a new thing on there, and I just kind of wanted to point that out because with the removal of everything from Accomack Primary, that priority has really risen.
Where would that building be at?
We have not determined that. We've talked.
When I get up my turn, I might have a little bit more on that.
Yes, sir, thank you.
So so that storage operations building, that's not gonna take, the stuff that's in the primary building, that's not gonna go in there, correct? I mean, we're getting rid of that stuff that's in.
Well, we have to, because, part of Bobby's too is hopefully we're gonna award the contract tonight, and we have to have everything cleaned out so that they can begin. So we are,
We weren't planning on storing it somewhere else or anything like that, we were gonna disperse it.
we're trying to disperse it.
Thank you.
That's all, thank you. Item 5.03, new superintendent search plan.
Just wanted to let the board know the presentation that I had prepared was accidentally left off the board docs. I apologize for that, but it's very brief. Brett's pulling it up now. So basically, just a couple of slides here. You can go to the next slide here when you're ready, Greta. So here's a proposed timeline. Some of this has already been done. In November, we created a job description. The board was involved with that. Vacancy announcement. Also, I've created some interview questions for you to review. I'll send them to you all in email to get some feedback. December, we've been working on advertising. You should be seeing some advertising in local papers very soon, and regional papers. January, it says collect applications, but we're currently collecting applications. We already have a few applications in the fold. February, I envision sending all of you the applications digitally by email for you to review, and you could narrow down who you'd like to interview. I propose in March we conduct interviews so that you can select a candidate in sometime in April. Okay, and again, this is just my proposed timeline. Obviously, this could go more quickly or more slowly, depending on how the process is going. All right. So what you'll be seeing, should be seeing this Friday in the local paper, an advertisement for the opening, the vacancy, in the local papers. It's already been placed on our website, on our Facebook page, regionally, in the Virginia Pilot, in the Daily Times in Salisbury regionally. Also, it is currently posted on the Virginia Association of School Superintendents website, and nationally, it's posted on School Spring and Indeed. So, if you have any suggestions for anything other than that, just reach out to me and let me know if you have any suggestions that are, we do have a budget, obviously, for advertising in the HR department, so some of the things are a little bit pricey, but some of them, if you consider that, we didn't,
Right,
you know.
doing it ourselves.
Right, exactly, then it's not too bad. So I've been exploring some other things as well, and so I plan on, if you'd like me to, giving you an update every month on how it's going, and maybe even start sending you some of the applications on a monthly basis. You just have to let me know.
No, I
Okay.
think maybe all at once.
All right. That's all.
Thank you,
Yep.
thank you. Mr. Bennett?
Good evening. Greta's gonna pull up a PowerPoint. I'll just go ahead and say, you get the next one. It's gonna kind of, tonight I'm gonna hit on the auxiliary gyms and Accomack primary. And start with the auxiliary gym. You've seen the pictures. I told you all, I think in the last board meeting, that it came in over the budget. You can go to the next one, Greta. Here's where we're at on Accomack. Kind of gave a breakdown of what they had added on the right-hand side of the screen. I hope it's on your right. It's where we're at on the budget, on that one, estimated budget at 65% construction design, 3.06 million. 298,000 over budget. There's some contingency money in there still, and I think that I spoke with the architect at length last week when I got these numbers. There's some cost savings to be had there, but I want to just preface that and say that I'm not going to be supportive of any cost savings that compromises the program we're trying to get out of these buildings. So, I mean, I think we need to look at where we can save costs, but not impact the programs negatively. Because I think we're building for the future, and that's what we need to continue to focus on. So that's where we're at on that one. Go to Nandua. Nandua, same deal, not quite as much. I think on this one is $240,000. You can go to the next one, $240,000 over. So again, and you'll see that I got up there, the cost estimator has a 10%, what they're calling an Eastern Shore premium. They figured this when they did Accomack primary job as well, and they're telling me that's just basically, and they've got it figured at 10% across the board on all subcontracts and everything. They say that's the extent of doing business on the shore when people come from out of the area and stuff like that. We'll get to the Accomack primary, but we didn't see that inflation factor on our Accomack primary bids, except for the bidders that came from Virginia Beach side of the bay. So that may be overblown on both of these, so I mean, there may be some cost savings there. We had a lot of interest on the Accomack primary project out of Salisbury. So that's what I'm looking for tonight from you all is your approval to move these documents to 100%, where we get final cost estimates and put these projects out to bid. So we can find out what it's really gonna cost us to do it.
Is there a motion for the two auxiliary gyms to move forward?
Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and move forward 100% on both of these auxiliary gyms.
Second.
Accomack and Nandua. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Thank you. Okay, Accomack primary. This one, the next slide, we had our bid opening on December 5th. There's how many bidders we had that showed interest in our project. Pretty surprised that we had that many bidders, but it's a big project and it got a lot of attention. I'm gonna also ask you all to kind of approve us moving forward with a contract for Harkins Contracting The architect, they vetted them and everything, they've got really good references. I followed up with some of them, some of our current staff has experience with them. They're a big firm out of Salisbury. Their bid is significantly lower than the other proposers, and I think that they figured out a way to do some work that everybody else chose another option. They elected to do a big part of their project in the crawl space without removing the entire floor system. But everybody else wanted to take the whole floor system out. They've got a method that they feel confident they don't have to do that, and that's where that savings is for the most part, on where their bid comes in at. So, I mean, they're the low bidder on that, and we would look to probably move forward with the contract for them in doing that. That again come from you all. Go one more slide, brother, because I want to kind of give you a whole look at everything. This right here kind of goes over what's not included in that $8 million from Harkins. It's the FF&E allowances, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. On that, we've got an AV allowance in there, the design and construction administration fees, that's with Dill's Architect, that's the contract we're in, then we're keeping a $200,000 owner's contingency, so $1.1 million in owner costs. Go to the next slide, bruh, and there's kind of what it looks like with the base bid. We had two alternates in that project. Alternate number one was connecting to the sanitary line that Accomack's got going through there. That way we would abandon the septic system. We tied to the is it county? I guess it is county septic, county sanitary line.
Hampton Road Sanitation District.
Right, so, yeah, Hampton Road Sanitation District. So that's what that alternate was. Alternate number two was a full building generator for the whole building, which I think is probably important to this one. And then alternate number three was for all the planning, landscapes and all that. That was where it came in at. And then the owner's cost, so I mean, we got the total cost of the renovation at $9.9 million. There is, go back one if you need, we are also carrying a $200,000 contingency in there as well. In the event that we get into unknowns and things like that. And we base that on the 2% of the estimated construction cost. So with all the numbers there, go back one more time, read that one. So we're at 9.9. So I guess what we're looking for is board approval to enter into a contract, contracting for the renovation of the Accomack Primary School.
Can I ask one question about the, connecting into the Hampton Road sanitation? What is the expected yearly cost for us for that?
I can't answer that right now.
Because
I
this
was
is
told
just
it
the
was-
connecting fee, and then there will be a monthly.
Well, I think the connecting fee is covered in this, from what I understand, but I need to follow up and make sure before I tell you that. When I talked to Stewart Hall with the county, you know, the fee was gonna be a low fee, but I mean, it is gonna be a fee. But at the same time, we're gonna have annual fees with the septic system, because the health department, the way the regulations are, we're gonna have to have a septic system like we do other septic systems. They're gonna have to come through, you have budgets or balls come through every year and treat them and everything they need to do there. So, long-term solution, the sanitary line is probably the way to go, where you get away from the septic system, but it'll also impact parking as well. We'll be able to regain some areas for parking. But I can find out the cost.
If you don't mind finding out the EV usage, it'd be good.
Yeah, like a, for 5 years, this is what this would cost, and this is what our own septic would cost. Thank you. But aside from that, you don't, that's not part of moving forward with your,
No, that's, well, it's in there, it's an alternate or base bid, but really what we're looking to do is move forward with the 8.216,600 and the contract with them, because the alternates will be separate.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the Harkins contracting to move forward with the Accomack Primary Initiative. Sorry, construction.
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, now, one thing, to kind of follow up with that, the storage building really, and we're gonna bring a plan to you all probably in February. It's gonna have to be more than a storage building. Right now, we're taking up, my department's taking up valuable real estate in Andrew High School. Brandon and food services got valuable real estate in Arcade High School. We're taking up space that they need. I mean, we're creating classrooms and libraries and things like that where there's space there. Facilities, food service, all that, we need to be out of schools. So this storage building probably needs to be larger than just storage. It needs to be a complex for facilities, for food service, where we can have all our shipping and receiving. Move the central freezers that would be behind Accomack Primary, that's the, where everything's coming to one location. You asked about where we're thinking about doing this, just the talk that's kind of been bounced around for a year and a half on this would be either Accomack Elementary or Wetumpka. The other property, Wetumpka, going to the west or south of the big field beside that, that would probably be the more desirable, simply because of Accomack Elementary being where it's at. A little bit more challenging for truck deliveries and things like that. So Wetumpka being a lot closer, more accessible, I guess it would be something that, you know, we'd end up, if that was a solution, we'd go to the counterparts with all our plans. But over the coming months, I'm gonna be gathering further information and want to be able to come back to you all like in probably early spring and say, okay, here's kind of what we're thinking about. Here's an estimated cost, just something to put on our radar, because I think it's twofold. We need to be out of schools, and we got with Accomack Primary being the, you can call it what you want, the storage area, the dump, whatever you want to call it, but I mean, we've lost it now. We've took a lot of stuff down to our area, we're moving a lot of stuff different places, but I mean, it's gonna come that we're gonna have to do something. But more importantly, we need a school space for the education of students, not for offices, for body and stuff like that, because it's schools, and we need space. So just
Have we looked at maybe where the bus depot is? Do we have any more land around there, or is that kind of maxed?
I have to probably look, I really don't know, but I
Where it's
mean,
kind of centrally located,
Right.
right on the highway, you know, just a thought.
yeah, I mean, you know, convenience and stuff like that would be ideal, but I mean, I think right now we kind of look kind of globally within the county on the property that we have and figure out what works best. So, but I'll have more information on it.
I thought food service was gonna move into primary care.
They are, but there's storage stuff.
Right.
Talking about freezer, stuff like that.
Freezer stuff and dry goods. They had 2 whole rooms in Accomack Primary, which was dry goods, canned foods and things like that. So it's a lot of space there. So more to come on that one though.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I believe we are down to the superintendent's report.
My report is very brief. I just wanted to mention 2 things. One, I'll be coming back to you in January, during either the January 7th work session or the regular meeting on the 21st, making some recommendations to the school board, and those recommendations are based exclusively on what I've learned over the last couple, 3 weeks, based on my experience in other school divisions and other places. And recommendations are what they are. You can take them or leave them. Some of the recommendations I'll be sharing are things that probably are best suited for the next superintendent, not me, including organization, perhaps looking at the organization of central office, hiring the assistant superintendent for instruction. Those things shouldn't really be coming from me, because it may end up with you end up doing them twice, right? Especially the organizational piece. So I'll be coming to you in January with some recommendations. Couple, 3 of the things I'll be recommending would be things I would hope this school board would consider doing this school year. One is the addition of a public information officer. That is the next piece of my report. If you go to the next slide, slide number 2, those are the pieces that are included in the rationale I provided to the board. A public information officer, from my experience, extremely valuable to the school board, extremely valuable to the school division, for highlighting those things, those opportunities, successes, and challenges of the students, staff, etc. Maintaining a positive, consistent, widespread, and informative social media presence, managing video and audio live streaming at meetings and events, responding in a timely manner and appropriate manner to Freedom of Information Act requests, authoring and sending out press releases, participation in all school board meetings and events requested by the superintendent, serve as the only spokesperson for the school division in order to maintain a positive, consistent, and accurate messaging. Spearhead the surveying of stakeholders regarding calendar, budgeting, and school quality. Those are the three things that came to mind right away. There's plenty. Parents get surveyed to death. We know that. Those are the three things that seem to jump to the top in terms of when you start asking stakeholders for feedback. Those three things often come into play. Not always, but they do. Coordinate, manage, and produce multimedia resources, including blogs, live streaming, and still photography. Production of a high-quality monthly stakeholder newsletter, and work with existing staff to maintain, enhance, and improve existing division website. Most of these things are being done now, but they're being done by lots of different people. And they do the best they can, no doubt about it. But in my view, based on my experience, you really need someone who has experience in these areas, is very, very good at it, understands FOIA law inside and out, because FOIA law is very difficult, it's very specific, and it's easy to make mistakes, so you gotta be extremely careful. But all those other things are typical of what you'd expect for a public information officer in a school division or in any other sort of public institution. So what I'm recommending and asking of the board is that this will serve as information, come back in January, and would ask the board to approve the addition of a public information officer. And I've got it would be a 1A grade administrative position, and the band is 61,000 to 89,000. That's where folks in that band fall typically. Does anyone have any questions? Thanks.
School board member comments.
Come on.
Ms. Bowden? Item none, Mr. Taylor?
I have none, just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and if they're this meeting late, see you in January.
Mr. What?
I just got one statement. I just want to know, when do we approve moving public comment at the end? I'm getting a comment from one of my constituents that says, why are we at the end? We should be first because we're here for the kids and the people. And they just want to know why it has to move to the end. That's the only thing I have to say about that. And also I'd like to thank all of you that showed up, Ms. Johnson, and everybody happy holidays.
Mr. Whipple? Mr. Neal?
I just want to thank the presenters tonight, very informative. Ms. Emily, thanks for explaining some of those acronyms too, it helps me keep me straight. And for the school board, I did take minutes at our safety week. I'm having a computer problem getting them emailed to you guys. Ms. Smith is helping tonight, so they should be emailed shortly.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Rules for public comment. 1, identify yourself by name and 911 address. 2, speakers are limited to 3 minutes. 3, individuals may reserve or transfer their time to another speaker. 4, specific personnel matters must not be initiated at a public meeting. 5, speakers cannot be abusive, threatening, or use profanity. 6, specify the nature of your remarks. 7, speakers who have previously spoken on a subject for public comment shall not be allowed to readdress the board during the same public comment period. 8, specific questions should be resolved prior to the meeting by contacting the superintendent or the appropriate staff member. 9, anyone who would like to present a PowerPoint presentation for public comment has to present the presentation 24 hours in advance for review by the staff for appropriateness. And 10, all questions shall be directed to the chair, who will, at her discretion, solicit the response from the appropriate staff member.
Anna Gerardo.
Hi, my name is Ana Jurado. My street address is 18382 School in Parkview, Virginia. Estoy aquí de nuevo en representación de la comunidad latina de habla hispana, así como también de otras minoridades que hablan ya sea francés criol, entre otras. I'm not going to revisit any of the previous things that I had already mentioned in our last meeting, but would like to receive a response at some point on those. Before Mr. White had mentioned, I also wanted to say that I would like to see the possibility of adding public comment to the beginning of the sessions, because as you can see, there is a lack of Accomack County public school parents in most meetings due to their child care and other home obligations. As you can see, I stand here with my 2 kids, my son who has been crying and screaming the whole time. It makes it very disruptive, but I want to be part of this. The meetings, I want to be informed, and I want to be able to come to the community and share that information. The last meeting that I was here, running closer to 9:30 p.m., which is way past my children's bedtime, which I'm assuming is the same for other kids in the community. As to why my kids are in pajamas tonight, just in case this ran late. I do want to welcome the new superintendent. Being that you did announce your short stay at Accomack County, some of it you have already done in your slide, but I wanted to see if you were able to share your 90-day plan goals, just so that, again, we could be educated whether they align with the current school board members who are sitting right here next to you. As a concerned resident, I want to have complete trust that you are here to help make the children of this county a priority, and that you're open to obtain feedback, not just from the board members sitting here, but also the parents, the family, teachers, staff, and residents of the county. So again, welcome, and hopefully, you can help us educate the community. Thank you, and that was all.
Thank you. Nicole Shreves.
Nicole Shreves, 18281 Airport Drive in Melford, Virginia, 23410. I just have a few questions and a couple of comments. What is the status of ensuring that all employees get a $15 minimum wage per hour? We talked about that in the October meeting, but there was no follow-up that we are aware of. The other thing I would also like to know is, on or around November the 1st, just 3 days after the termination of our former superintendent, the Accomack County Sheriff Department completed an unannounced safety inspection at Nandoa High School and Arcadia High School. What are the results of that inspection? Shouldn't we as parents know, since especially that was a hot topic when the past superintendent was in leadership? When you go behind closed doors to make decisions about student issues, how are those students identified? Is it by a student number, or is it by such other factor as a name, sex, or race? Because obviously at the last school board meeting that I attended in this building, Madam Chairwoman was quick to call for punishment for the black male, but yet refused to accept the voice of numerous eyewitnesses, and even went as far as to demand a video to prove that a white female did something wrong. And despite numerous eyewitnesses, 4 of the 8 board members could not bring themselves to take action against the white female. How do I know that my black son or grandchild would get a fair chance, or any other child of color for that matter? And last but not least, I too welcome you, the new superintendent. And I hope that you will be able to meet some of our wonderful faculty and students at the Accomack County Public Schools. I do not know why this board is so sad on having the superintendent sit on this side of the room, but I can tell you it does have its advantage. From here, you get to see the eye rolls, the looking up at the timer when certain people are speaking, and looking down at their papers to avoid contact instead of acknowledging that some people are speaking. People are listening, people are watching. And if you want our children to succeed, and if we want this board to be productive, let's be mindful of all of our behaviors, not only the people in the audience, but also those that sit in the chairs in front of us.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn for tonight.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.